Go.
Okay. Let's make sure I get it right. Yay. Okay.
Hi.
Hello, everyone. We like the I see. OP is introduced us.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
that makes sense. Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Nathan.
I'm Nikhita. Hi.
Yeah. I was an FRC alum of Team 5406 Celtex. I'm currently a mentor on Team Dave. I help around a couple other teams when I'm free. I'm a current student at the University of Waterloo. I study environment and business, so not a STEM program. I know it's a sin, but I learn lots of different things in school and apply that to first. I was a camp counselor at my personalities camp, and I'm a big Monsters University fan. You see my backpack or my hat literally any other time of the year, it's a Monsters University hat. That's me.
I'm Nikhita. I was a 4252 from Markham. Shout out, alum. They're an FTC team now. I am a strategy and business mentor on Dave, and I majored in math and business administration at Waterloo. Graduated in 2022, and I'm a baker now, so that's good. Follow my Instagram. And I love my cats. That's my cats, Jack and Zip Tie. I did not name Zip Tie. I want to clear the record. Yeah.
Okay. Oh no. Anyway, ignore the text that's way up there. So we're talking a little bit about why strategy is important. This to know why you're even here, why you even stay. Why is strategy important? Strategy is the biggest differential we can make on a match, and that's the plan. Failing to plan is planning to fail. Oh, I'll move over here so I can. Oh no, I'm all over the place. It seems. I'm gonna. There we go. Now I fixed it. Let me do this. There we go. Now I can actually see what I'm talking about. But it zooms in on this one too. Why would it do that?
You should zoom in on the actual document.
That's what I wanted to do.
Can you zoom out?
Yes, I can. I wanted to zoom in on this one.
I promise we know how to use laptops.
Well, like I said,
okay, that's perfect.
Not in a STEM program, so don't blame me. Failing to plan is planning to fail. Time is the most important and valuable resource within first in your competition season, in your building season, and especially in a match. And so when you're planning, you're trying to get the most out of your time. You can earn lots of points, you can do lots of things in the competition, but you can't get more time on the field and in that performance. The making a plan, it's important to remember the purpose of optimizing performance and cohesion as an alliance. When making a plan with your alliance, you need to be responsible, remain unbiased, plan with your alliance, and be as unbiased as possible. Using data can help you separate a little bit of fact from emotion, and that's why it's really important to have some data to help back you up and really know what's what. But just having emotion can be really hard in a strat meeting. Sometimes a statistic can be misleading too. So it's really important to have that emotion piece as well and not just go purely off of numbers, because sometimes that number means something different than what you're using it for, or it's different than what you feel it should be true. And that's probably a red flag for the data you're finding. Another key part of a plan is to mitigate risk. Reducing the unknowns allow us to stay on plan and perform at our peak. And a key part of maybe the messages that other strat presentations talk about, a little bit talked about this morning on the first presentation with OP, is strat the plans aren't always to reduce risk or to eliminate risk. It's always to reduce it for you, and sometimes it's about maximizing risk because maybe it's a match you're supposed to lose, where it's not looking likely for you, and so that element of risk is what gives you a chance in that match. So it's not for every team. Maybe for OP, risk is bad for them, but for pretty much everyone else, even just against them, risk is a really good tool to shake up the match, and you want different things to happen than what's expected if you're expected to lose. Boop, boop.
Yeah. So we're not going to tell you how to run your strategy, how to use any numbers or anything specific like that. Those things change by game, and
Yeah, and there's some other
The
talks
other
on those things too,
yeah.
like Tegan and Brendan just had one talking about what that strat meeting looks like. So, well, yeah, watch that if you didn't go to that one.
Yeah, so we're gonna talk about some of the key rules that we follow on Dave, the things that we've learned over the season, and things that impact how we run our strategy and our scouting.
And
Yeah,
that just
that's it.
yeah. Oh yeah. You're right. You're right. Meow. Boop.
Okay, so you have to develop a system that's dummy proof. You can't. There's no point in collecting information that isn't collected effectively. If you were at the Waffles talk, Brendan covered this a little bit. Um, if your scouts have to struggle to scout, the data won't be reliable because they're more focused on trying to finish the task rather than counting how many game pieces. But on the other hand, you don't want to collect information that you won't actually use. There are lots of times where there's things in the match that you could collect, but you don't really use it at the end of the day. Um, so things like the timestamp of when they died or how long they died for or something like that. It can help with trying to help the other teams, but honestly, knowing whether it's 15 or 13 seconds doesn't really matter. So on Dave, we have pretty complicated scouting data. But that's because we are very blessed with lots of mentors and lots of scouts that care and things like that. So what you need to do is, based on your resources, build your scouting system accordingly. You have to remember your audience. So there's like 14-year-old scouting, and these grade nines are learning basic linear math at this point. So you have to make the app accessible to your students. Um, you don't want to build your app in a way that you have to do 4 steps to count a cycle because it's just not accessible to your students. Your scouting infrastructure and data collection must be uh, built in mind with the students in mind.
Yeah. Like nowadays, it's almost a requirement to have data in first. Wasn't always true. But now with such high cycle counts and teams being so close, especially in Ontario, having accessible data even throughout the event, throughout all the qualifications, not just going into your picking. A lot of teams scout for pick meetings, and that's great. But that data can also be used for every single match strategy that you have throughout the entire event. And yeah, some like what your data collection looks like will be different than other teams, and we encourage that. It's all about what your team can do. And what your capabilities you think that will be 100% with what you have. Going too big and only having 80%, that's already a big hit. Even though you got most of the way there, it's better to have 100% with a more reserved thing than having 80% on a more aggressive form of collection. And yeah, we'll talk a bit more about that a little later.
So how do we know that your scouting is accessible to your students? You can ask them. Your students know what they can and can't do. They know if the app is too much for them or the scouting sheet is too much for them, and they know their limits. So uh, the only way to know if you're shooting above your abilities is by interacting with your students and talking to them. Another way to evaluate your scouting system is running test scouting with week 0 and week 1 events. So, what we would do on Dave is we have the app ready to go, and we'll watch the streams, scout week 0 and week 1, and since they're all online, it gives us the ability to go back and actually check and confirm. And from there, we can see where our scouting method, whether app or paper or whatever, is lacking in some places or what's too hard for the students, where are they messing up, type of thing. Your data is only as good as it is accessible to your scouts. So sometimes that requires sacrifice and recording less data. Sometimes you want all the data in the world, but it's just not realistic for your students. So we decided to follow this year. We optimize the app for simple and effective data to show us how a team is performing without overwhelming details that at the end of the day we didn't use. We saw the value in just taking cycle counts and understanding whether or not that those cycle counts were impacted by either the robot dying or being defended or actually running defense.
Yeah, in last year, in 2024, we had a very complex app, track location, when they did it, what kind of zone they were shooting from, where they picked it up, and our kids really struggled with all those levels of input. And so for this year's game, we just said, you know what, looking at what people score, because it's a big, very cycle, fast, get the numbers up game. So we talked about looking for either scoring on level 1, on the reef, in the processor, or barge. And that was really helpful, giving us direct information on how a team will probably perform in a match. Our scouts were pretty new this year, and so we wanted to keep it simple with pretty low effort needed to be able to actually track things perfectly. And in our opinion, after having both apps, a way more complex one and really simple one, a well-performing basic quantitative scouting system is far better than a poor-performing system that also collects more information. So you can see our scouting app that we use this year on those images there.
Feel free to take pictures.
Yeah. Yeah. So the auto and the tele-app screens were the exact same. There's an opening screen that just said like, hey, this is my name, this is the match you're watching, and this is the robot. Pretty simple. You go, okay, I'm ready. Then you press start match when the match started. And then there's a countdown on there. There's no like, oh, hey, auto's up. But all you did was you scored on the reef, you scored level 1, you scored the next, scored in the processor. It was really, really simple. A kid never had to look at the screen to see where the buttons were. They can just memorize the 4 buttons are and use their 2 thumbs. And then once auto was over, you just press the bottom right there, press tally up, the exact same screen. We had numbers on there on the counters incrementing, so you could see like, oh, I know when I pressed it because the number went up. And then right before the match, you can like kind of look at the numbers and be like, oh, hey, they scored like 20. That's pretty cool. We also had an undo button, so you can infinitely undo actions. You're like, oh no, I dropped the tablet and I touched this like 5 times. Just press the undo button. And then we had a died button. So if a robot died, you can press died. If they start moving again, that died button turns into a Jesus button because they resurrected, came back, and started playing again. And then our post-match screen there at the end is just defended or defended. So either they got defended or they defended. And so if a team had low cycle counts, we can really say like, oh, but they played lots of defense or they got defended a lot. Maybe that helps know why their average is lower than someone else's. It's very, very binary. Like you can see on average how many times they're defended, and then on average how much their scores are, like how many cycles they have. You can use those in relation. Comments. We have as scouts get better and better. They know what to look for, what to type in their things, what to take notes for on their own notes and in the app. This way, at the scouting meeting, we can just pull up all the comments of a team if we're curious about them and see what people said about them. A lot of the comments are just like, wow, they're so fast, they're so cool. They sucked under defense. Like we should really look towards that and see if that is a thing, right? Having comments for the match. And then to finish, and that was it. It was way more simpler this year, and all the kids loved it. They found it really, really easy to use. All the practice was they got it pretty immediately. And then yeah, the kids didn't have to look at the tablet. They just knew, oh, tap here a bunch of times. Oh, they scored an L1.
I'll also add that the died button and the Jesus button are just counts. So they just spit out, yes, they died. Yes, they came back to life.
Yep.
Because it honestly, I don't really care how long they died for. I mostly care if they died, and then that impacts their cycle counts, right? And then also at the finish button, it gives you a pop-up to confirm so that nobody can accidentally hit finish.
Yeah. Made it really foolproof to make sure that no amount of like dropping the thing or like it being a teacher's first time meeting a scout because some kid going to the bathroom and the teacher is like, oh, I don't know what to do. They can just tap, they scored. And then it's really, really simple. Allows for even, those emergency situations where a parent or a student who's not on scouting needs to scout those matches. And really, really entrance friendly. And it gave us all the information we ever needed to play the game.
To add. So next year, we tested this out at Mary Ward, but we're probably going to add a section where you can draw the robot while you're waiting because kids love it. The kids love sketching. And then we'll shout out Celtics. Sorry, we stole that from you.
Yeah, we stole it from Celtics. We will. We haven't done it yet. So when you're waiting for the match to end, you can just like draw, make it fun, show up all the drawings at the end.
To be fair, the mentor that came up with it was a Celtics alum. So
it was stolen. It's all stolen. Great, and then that really helps make scouting a bit more engaging, a bit more fun. Question?
I have a question about the app.
Yeah.
So I was gonna ask 2 questions. Do you guys calculate the cycle times of the robots?
Nope.
How did you find a solution to not be able to hotspot for the internet?
So actually, we have a router that we can make only tethered. We get it's not an SD card.
It saves locally on the device, and then you just plug it right into the router. and then that router goes right to the computer's files, and then we upload those computer files onto Tableau, like periodically.
Yeah.
So it's every single game they upload to the local file, and then after that goes into the cloud or whatever.
Yep, pretty.
Yep.
It depends on the event. Sometimes we did every match if it's like maybe DCMP, lots of time between matches, and we want the information. And sometimes it was like pretty much by request. We're just like, oh, we want some more updated matches. It's been a few, and we're really curious about this one team in particular. Then we would walk up to the stand and say, hey, can you next match? Can you upload them? And then be like, great. Kind of depends on what the event was like. But we try not to do it every match unless we needed it every match. But yeah, pretty much by request.
However, moving forward, Tableau is very hard to work with. It's not very student friendly, stuff like that. So we're actually planning on moving to Google Sheets because from there, from my phone, I can edit data. Sometimes you put in, you meant to type, hit it like 19 times, but I know for a fact I did 17. So I can go in and change it myself without having to go back to the stance and change it and then re-upload. And you can make the visualizations right on Google Sheets.
Yep. You can make graphs on there, make tables on there, rather than using another third-party app just to add more complications. It's hard to upload onto that. It's hard for me to load it on my phone because I don't have an app on my phone. Just lots of ways to just make it even more simple, right? That's always the goal of scouting. If it's too complicated, it's too complicated. Like that's why we experimented this year to be really, really simple. And it didn't limit any of our strat meetings at the higher end, just knowing that simple information. Because last year we collected all this information, like where they scored on the grid in 2023. And I know lots of other teams did that, like what level and what pole they scored on. I don't need to know that. I'll just tell you where to score. If you're bad, if you're bad at the scoring at the back, tell me, and I'll do it instead.
Yeah, exactly. That's why we only have scoring on the reef and not levels 2 to 4, because we found that it was very based on the match. So sometimes we would do all the L4s because the other teams can't do it. It's more of a qualitative note from scouts to say, hey, look, they can't score on L4.
Yeah, and many times a team would choose to score L2, L3, L4, depending on the strat with their partners, not really indicative of their straight up performance. So maybe someone scores lots of L2s, but maybe that's because they only can score L2s, or maybe because they scored L2s when they can score L4s faster, their teammate can only score L4s. It's hard to really draw that distinction from just numbers. And so we're always going to have a meeting before our matches to talk to a teammate. And we'll be like, so what have you been good at? We'll check your numbers and we'll believe you. If you're like, I can't score L4, then you probably can't score L4. And so I don't need the numbers to prove that you're bad at L4 when maybe you just didn't choose to do that. Everyone's acting in their own best interest, right? No one is like inherently lying about what the robot can and can't do. And we have cycle counts, and so we work with you to be like, well, we're good at L4s, so we can do all the L4s. If you want to do L2s, they're really fast. I know your robot. And so, yeah, it really helped us follow through on knowing the robots do, which is always helpful to know too. So never really gotten our way entire season, and we really recommend to really symbol down, even if you just use a piece of paper and tally in 4 boxes, also really helpful. Apps are hard to use. We have some mentors, like you worked in data visualization, and we have some students very dedicated towards it. But if you don't, that's okay too. Just make a Word doc and print it. And that worked out.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, onto the drawing thing. We try to make scouting fun. A big part of the Dave culture, especially at events and throughout the entire season, is to have a fun scouting experience. As a student on Celtex, scouting was more of a chore, and that culture was always a chore. And I've heard that from lots and lots of teams, that scouting is, you just do it to get it done. And I didn't like that on the team myself. I love scouting. I found it really cool. So it was really easy for me, but no one else shared my interest in scouting, which, fair enough. So I heard those perspectives and really learned why it's boring. And because boring. So I said, let's not make it boring. That's my camp counselor background right there. So yeah, good data comes from people who care about collecting it. And so if you really help give them a draw to why they want to collect that data, not only about investing them in those scouting meetings, into the pick meetings, having that investment is really good too. Because I'm like, well, I want good data for my meeting. So we include all of our scouts in all of our meetings. This way they feel that they're part of the conversation. They got to watch the matches. They probably watched more matches than I did because I'm running around. And so we encourage accuracy by incentivizing performance and building a fun scouting atmosphere. So we never talk about how scouting is a boring job. We never talk about, oh man, I got to go scout now. A lot of that language that the mentors use and returning students use really helps the grade 9s not being like, oh wait, this is a bad thing. I've heard people hate doing this. This way they already have a bad mindset going in. So you want to support them. Your support determines what's possible for your scouting infrastructure. Like we talked about a little bit already. So you're gonna find what's best fit for your resources. We have lots of mentor students, returning students, lots of the newer mentors on the team. I kind of help give them a job with helping me with all the scouting infrastructure. And so in 2024 was the first year I kicked off. I piloted a lot of the games that we did. And so we started by copying a little bit of the Sims model, and we had the Dave Dollars. And so we made physical money, and with mentors on the team as the centerpieces there. And so last year we used different mentors, and every year we're going to cycle out what mentors are on the bills. So yeah, none of our faces are on there except, I mean, Raj, your face is on there this time. And so yeah, that's the money that we gave out at events for various different things throughout the entire season, and that was the kind of the core model that we used to incentivize through this economic system. And so there's various ways to earn it. So every match, we had a whiteboard. Yeah, very Sims based. A whiteboard with a question. It was a binary question: higher, lower, yes or no, will they, won't they, type based questions, very binary. That the casino boss is what we called them. He sat in the stands and came up with a bunch of random questions, and then before the match, looked at the team and said, "Oh, will someone climb this match? Yes or no? Will a team fall over? Will a team die? Will they break the world record?" Very, very various questions. Like just based off what he knows about the matches. Will blue win? Right? Will red win some of these times? Or will Dave win? Because we talk about our own team. Will they score 8 pieces in auto as an alliance? Various questions that just are topical to the teams that are on the field. Maybe one team is very known for one thing, and so we're like, will this team do this thing? And then now everyone's really invested in trying to know the teams at the event. To know, oh, I am incentivized by knowing, oh, these teams have some good autos. They're going to score over 8 pieces in auto. This team has been known to have some reliability issues. They've been breaking down a lot. Will they die this match? I know this, and I'm a grade 9. And I want to earn money, so I have to pay attention at the event. That was the first thing that we did. That was the main core system for the money. But then I worked with the other mentors about what are some ways that we can also incentivize scouts. And one of the things I brainstormed was having we'll do that in superlatives. So at every single strat meeting, every single scouting meeting before alliance selection the day before, we gave out superlatives based off the data they collected. So we got the tableau. We scored like who pressed the most buttons at the event, who had the busiest fingers. We can track that because they put their name in the app, so we know how many inputs they did. And then whoever did the most, they got $20. Whoever scouted the most dead robots. This way, every time a dead robot comes on the field and your robot dies, you're not bored. You're excited because you could earn money for that robot dying. You know, like all these things that normally people are like, man, I hate when this happens. I'm so bored. Or man, I got OP. I'm gonna be tapping so many times. But now that's a good thing because the kid's like, oh, but I could earn money because I'm doing this thing. So you can find the ways that people are complaining on your team and make that an advantage. Make those things that they want to scout. That was the pilot I had, was just those two things. Went really well. Lots of kids that were on pit and other sub teams were like, how can I earn money? Can I scout? I'm just like, I'm sorry, but you're just not cool enough to be on the scouting team. So now people wanted to be a scout, and that really helped change that paradigm shift of who had the hierarchy of what was on the team. And so I had a lot of fun with the kids on having those fun activities.
It made the stands a party.
Yeah, it was a place to be for sure. Yeah. So I had to then other students were like, well, I'm not scouting, I'm doing social media, I'm doing these things. And so we can give out bonuses to people having good behavior at competitions, them learning a fun fact or something. Really incentivize other good behavior at the events. That was a great thing that we did to help incentivize students on having good engagement. Maybe someone's like, every time they post a social media post, every time they post a story, they earn like $1 or something. This way, we make sure social media is pretty active. These are all things to incentivize other things too, all stemming from making our scouting system better. And then this year, I worked on having also a fantasy pool system. So I know First Updates Now also had one too. But they didn't run it for a long time, or not every event that we were going to. I said, you know what, I can just do this domestically. I can just do this now. So I priced teams based off their EPA. Not a perfect measure, but I'll talk about a whole slide on Snaplogics later. And yeah, we use that as a general metric of like who is good at the event, who's more likely to win the event, and they'll price them a bit higher. I had no input on my opinions on the team. It was all just based off EPA. And this way, some student might know, oh, this EPA is a little bit inflated. And that means I won't pick them. They're uninflated. They're an underdog. I'm going to spend my money on that team. So I have an example of what that looked like. Oh, I might need to.
You have to hit escape.
Yeah, escape. I have to click here, then escape, and then go over here. Oh yes. Oh yeah. Oh, I have to unfull screen. Oh, we're getting
Imagine
there.
using a Mac.
We're getting there. Oh, I know. We're getting there. So yeah, this is the superlative sheet I made for every competition that we went to this season. Sometimes I made one for other, like as practice for me, like pricing teams or just for events that others I know students were watching because it's a lot of fun. Maybe the first event of the season while we're practicing our scouting, I also made one for that one. Or like maybe if Celtics is going to an event and I'm like, let's see what that event is like. These teams are going to our next event. Let's see how they're doing, and might as well make one for it. So yeah, this is how it worked. It's for the top, and see, I gave a little description. Every student got $200 every event, and you had to spend them on teams on various prices. This is the Waterloo event. You can see I priced us as the highest. Cavs haven't played yet, so I didn't price them above us based off EPA yet. So I just made an estimation on the teams I assumed that they would be good at the event, and they were. And so I priced teams based off their EPA purely, except for teams who haven't played yet, kind of give a guess on where they would be. Satbox also does that natively, so that helped me a lot too. Price them all in the order here. And then, yeah, you did a little math to sum up your answers to make sure that you think you actually did $200. Yeah, it's a little hard to see, but I might zoom in a little bit. So yeah, they're all the teams here are all priced in descending order here. And then the second section on the slide was a bunch of like other bonuses and things. Yeah, so who do you think will rank top 8 at the event? You pick them. Doesn't matter what the captains, just who will rank top 8 at the event. Gives you a little bit of a guess. That's a fun thing to do. An extra way. That's just an order of the numbers at the event. Will the highest losing score be over this interval here? That was a classic one I had. What will the maximum amount of Algae and net will be? We smashed the over on the 11 there. What will the maximum amount of L1s be scored by Alliance? Will the end game max points be over under 25? How many over 5.5 6 RP matches? What's the biggest blowout by an Alliance? Yeah, the most amount of corals scored by an Alliance in one match in auto. And then how many tip robots at the event? These are all just fun things that someone like as a spectator would care to know about these things, and it helps the students know what the meta and the level of play is at each event. So I know, there's a higher level of play as time goes on. I know at maybe at a week 3 event, the best someone ever did was they only scored 7 game pieces in auto. But now we're at Waterloo. Do I think they're going to score 8? Do I think they're going to have that increased level of play? How many level 1s did someone score maybe in a qualification match? In a limbs, very different. That one's hard to guess because you play level 1s based off strategy, based off that RP, but in a limbs, you don't play for points. So a lot of things that helps the kids try to understand the level of play, the meta, how the game is evolving, and also the teams at the event to know, well, there's this robot that can only score level 1s. Maybe if they get paired up with this robot, they're going to score like 12. And so that's how they can be invested just purely. I didn't force anyone to do this a lot, but you just earn money for free. There's no buy-in to do this form. Parents did it. We had teachers did it. It was open to everyone. I didn't give any parents or teacher money because it meets the purpose. But anyone who did it got rewards if you're a student. And a lot of the parents and teachers had a lot of fun. And eventually one of our teachers won, had the highest score based off the money.
How. That was crazy.
I know, Vicinity won. It was great.
So
yeah,
good.
and so like on the pricing one here, I just went by district points. So you bought X amount of teams, and then whoever scored the most amount of district points at the event. It's a pretty rigid system through Ontario, so I might as well copy it too. Less work for me and our mentors. And so if I bought Cavs and Dave, they earned X amount of district points at the event, and maybe a team that I could sum up to the amount of money I had left over. And so how many district points did you earn? And then yeah, you all put them into a Google form, and then I can just sum those response, calculate up the week after while I'm bored in class, and then post it on our Slack later. That was a big hit this year. A lot of people liked it. I did it for some other teams at events. I did this, some Celtics events too. They had a lot of fun with that too. Oh, no, I'm a rookie. Play from current slide.
Yes. Yeah.
Bang. Yeah, so that's the fantasy pool system. Did it for every event we went to. They had a lot of fun with that. Superlatives we talked about, and then other bonuses just for positive behavior, things I want to incentivize. Maybe some kids bored. I'm like, go get me 10 pins. I'll give you $10. And they're like, okay, I'll go. It really just helped every kid be invested at the event and throughout the season. Yeah, it just helped elevate everyone's level of play and made scouting the place to be.
Where did the dollars go? Oh, right there.
Oh yeah, we passed. Yeah.
Thanks.
You can put it back in the bag.
Yeah, and the barbecue.
Oh yes, and sorry, you're right. What do they do with this money? I didn't even get to that. So once they earn all this money at the end of the season, they have to keep their physical money. Helps them have some responsibility over an item. Once they had all this money, then at their end of the season barbecue, we told them all to bring all the money that they had. And then we got some in-kind donations from a lot of the local shops and things, some donations of gift cards. The team donated some swag bags. The school donated some stuff. The parents donated some items. Maybe they saw them on sale like Walmart or a thrift store or something. And they donated some related prizes. So then at the barbecue, we do a big auction led by me, where we auction off each item, and then they bid on those items, and then they cash in their money in for the items that were all donated to us for free. This way, yeah, all the kids can cash in their money. They're incentivized to go to the end of the season barbecue, obviously. And then they bid against their friends. They pool money together over people to earn some things. And then all the money gets spent off at the end of each season. And then next year, I'll make new money with different mentors' faces on it. And then they can keep those as tokens or throw them out. Not applicable for next season. And yeah, it helps. The whole team had a great time. Other students got to be invested too. Sometimes I gave pit people some money. And so I got to give out those bonuses whenever I felt like I wanted to incentivize something. And so extra tool for the mentor base to have that, be able to give it out. Any questions on that slide in particular, or we feel like
Makes kind of fun. It's kind of very fun.
great. And over to you.
Cool. So info control. So back to strategy. One of the main things that we run on our strategy team is the info control between your strategy team, your coach, and your drive team. So we have lots of people. So that's why we have these different parts of the team. It is totally based on what you can run on your team. If your coach is your strategy team, it happens. Okay. We are very lucky. Okay. But the job of the strategy team is to put together the plan for the match, argue with other teams, get the plan settled down and ready to go. It's not the drive team's job. Okay. The numbers, the disagreements, and the intricacies of the strategy meeting stay with the strategy team. The only thing that is given to the coach is the plan for the match, with information concerning what our team is doing, what the other teams are doing, and what they can expect from the match. This allows for the coach to mentally prepare for how the match is going to go and what everybody will be doing in the match. The coach gives all of the information to the drive team because the person that knows the drive team the best is the coach. The coach is most easily able to communicate effectively with the drive team and tell them only what they need to know so that they're not overwhelmed by the details.
Yeah, the coach has the most time with the drive team, so they have the strongest relationship with our drivers, and so they know what that feedback looks like for them. They can have that rapport, and so it comes from someone that they trust and someone that they know wants to work with them, rather than me coming in and being like, "Damn, you sucked at this thing." I wouldn't say it like that, but they could take it that way. And so having that supportive, safe person to go to, and having that be their only person from feedback, and they don't listen to anyone else. Because I don't want you to hear what a parent said. I don't want you to hear what other teams are saying or other students on the team who don't know what the productive way to say that to you is, or what's actually true. Maybe some kid is like, "Oh, you suck at this pickup." I was like, "Actually, that was very good because the robot had this restriction," or any of that missing information. So it's really important that we can have that feedback after each match to improve them, but the coach gets to have manage of their team, and they get to have that relationship building and rapport.
Now, that being said, our driver this year was amazing. He was the GOAT. He used to be a strategy student. He was the student doing match strategy. So we occasionally let him in on strategy meetings. This is only because we knew he could understand the different perspectives that come in a strategy meeting and that he needs to focus on his match, right? We did not let our driver into strategy meetings that we knew were going to be tough, that we knew were high pressure, because we didn't want the driver to hear what the other teams were saying or the other team's concerns, or even our concerns.
Yeah, I don't want the driver to know that
problem.
it's going to be a close match, because then they're nervous, right? They just think, "Oh, it's going to be a breeze like every other match." Great, going in thinking that, and then they're like, "Oh wait, it was close." They don't even know it. They played their best. Yeah, I think it was also helpful for us to have our driver in those strat meetings sometimes, because I knew that our driver with the strategy background was already thinking the same things we were thinking. And so not having us talk to him about it would actually make him feel more anxious, because I know he's already thinking the things that I don't want to tell him. And so not having more conversations about it to de-nervify a bit of him was actually would have been harmful. So yeah, very case by case based off your driver, but we've never in previous had the driver in any of the meetings. But this year we still only had him in a few of them. Yeah, like the coach will share information with the drive team, and it reduces any confusion. Maybe sometimes the strat meetings we don't even know what we're doing yet, and so it took us a really long time to even figure out what the plan is. I don't want the driver to like only hear half of it or like forget what the final plan was and hear the wrong plan. And act on only parts of the plan. So if we just like iron it out with the strat team all together, we figured out what it is all together, all 3 teams. Then we go, okay, here's what we're telling our drivers. Go and tell our drivers exactly what they need to know, so they don't know more things. They're not thinking about things they don't need to think about. Keeps them less nervous. Yeah, the drive team doesn't need to know any of the numbers too. We don't let our driver have access to our scouting information. Sometimes our coach does. It's good for him to know a little bit about where we're doing and how we can improve with our coach. But it's really important that the driver doesn't really know what we're doing. Again, a little bit of a break this year. He knew a little bit more, and that was helpful for him. Again, case by case basis. But yeah, especially Statistics. I mean, it's really hard to focus because everyone has access to that one. But we really try to have the driver not be able to see that, especially the win probabilities. That was the one that was the biggest change, to have someone be. Our driver was not very nervous, which was good. Especially for someone who's more nervous. Them knowing it's a close match is not helping them. It's only going to make them be more nervous and try and make mistakes. So if our drivers always try giving their 100%, I don't need them to give 95% by accident because they're nervous. Yeah, the drive team executes. That's their job. Their job is not to worry about what everyone else is doing, what the strat of the meeting is, to know what the rankings are at the event. That's not their job. Their job is to be able to perform a robot how we designed for it to be performed, and yeah, elevate the level of play a robot can do. So the proper flow of information between these groups can determine how your match goes, and how your coach and your driver feel throughout the day. And yes, robots is all about robots, but also a lot of that is the human interaction with those robots. So a lot of what we do is managing the humans around the robots, and emotions play a big part in FRC. And I'll get the next slide.
So, pre-match meetings. Before every match, we have a meeting with the other teams on our alliance to decide what we're going to do in the match. And sometimes we talk to the other alliance, ask them if they're going to co-op. First things first, got to keep your calm. So strategy meetings do get intense. There's lots of arguments, but you can't lose your head. You can't forget that this is for fun and nothing will get done if we're all upset and like spitting at each other. Fundamentally, a good match strategy maximizes the combined capabilities of the alliance. So that means everyone is performing near their peak, not at their peak. Your combined capabilities might be lower than your individual capabilities put together, but the goal is to optimize the alliance, not just optimize one team. This means that we all have to cooperate. So just because you're right about something doesn't mean that the person disagreeing is wrong. There's multiple sources of truth in FRC. Everybody has a different opinion. You need to find the compromise. It doesn't matter if you're right. It just matters that we cooperate and we come to a decision together. The people will only abide by the plan if they're happy with it. So if you set up a strategy that another team in your strategy meeting is like, well, I don't want to defend this match, I wanted to score, then more likely than not, they're going to go and they're going to score the match, and then it'll mess you up because it's not the plan you put together in the beginning. So everybody has to be happy with it and has to agree for the match to go smoothly. I'm a huge proponent for picking lanes. Teams are more likely to succeed if they're able to play their own game. If they're comfortable in the match, they will be more likely to put out what they've been putting out in practice. So here's an example. Who's seen any of the Waterloo matches with us and Cavs?
Some. Okay.
Cool.
Okay. It's not a prerequisite.
Yeah, no, that's fine. So Cavs.
Although if you haven't, you should. I'm just saying.
Yeah, that's pretty sick. Cavs were a coral only robot, and their L2 is crazy. It's the fastest L2 I've ever seen. It's probably the fastest L2 in the world.
So good.
So what we were thinking were, if we spend the time trying to do L2s, we are spending that many seconds longer than if Cavs just did all the L2s. So what we're going to do is take advantage of that. So we'll do the algae. We'll take out the algae, score it in the barge or process it, whatever. And then Cavs can go around, do all their L2s. maybe fill out the L3s and the L4s while they're there because they score super fast. So by optimizing their strengths, we were able to fill the reef multiple times and succeed together.
Yeah, that I mean, I'm not sure if any of you have heard the term, but competitive advantage, that's what that is called. It's in many different theories of economics, game theory, in ecology, biology, lots of different things. Like study this concept of competitive advantage, business especially. And so that's just that what that is. We're taking our competitive advantage of doing algae, and Cavs is doing their competitive advantage of that, even if it's a 0.5 second time save on that level two. That compounds a bunch. And so if we're both doing what complements each other, even if maybe I'm really good at L2s as well, that I can take the other thing that I'm maybe at worse at. I'm slower at L4s, obviously. I have to go, my elevator has to go up higher. But I will lose less time than they will gain. And so that sums up together to be, a greater sum. Yeah, so whenever you plan, whatever plan you come up with, it only works if everyone's on board. I'm sure you heard that a lot today. That's really important as all of you as key figures within the strategy meetings, for you to go in that mindset being like, whatever's going to happen, we're doing what's best for Alliance. And maybe that means Dave is playing defense some matches. And that's okay. You have to go in that mindset, being the most open. It allows your strat to have the most options. And being closed off for certain strategies can maybe limit your max performance, which is okay. Some teams' goals are never to play defense, and that can be a season goal for you. But having that mindset going in that you could do anything really helps have more options in the match and maybe win more matches and have a better outcome at the event. The best outcome for you in that match is also the best outcome for your teammates, and in scoring more points and having more RPs and things. And so having that option to work with together and having the mental block already out of the way can be really helpful. And yeah, if you're doing things that your partners aren't happy with, or they're doing things that you aren't happy with, you could throw a match by accident by scoring one or two less cycles, because I'm like, well, I like doing L4s though. I'm Dave. I can go up there pretty fast. If I'm like, well, no, driver, throw in a couple L4s while you're waiting. That could really throw off the cycle of the syncing up together. And if I steal a fast lane, for example, they have to go all the way around, and they're way slower at doing that. That could just really mess up the match, and you could lose because of that. Yeah, I have endless examples of when I first started in strategy, but we don't need to get into it, of my teammates burning me or me burning teammates. A little less so on the second one. I tried my best. But on the flip side, good strategy meetings require full honesty. If you don't get anywhere unless you don't get anywhere if people are lying about what they can do. And a lot of the times, I know other presentations talked about it. You're not doing it on purpose. I know most of us aren't being like, well, I can do 10. You can actually only do 5, and you're doing that maliciously. A lot of them are just like, you don't actually know. Maybe you're not scouting your own team, or you don't understand that we talk in averages, but you're talking in peaks, or I'm talking in peaks, and you're talking in averages. Numbers can be a little bit minimalistic and what that context behind it is. And so it's really important that you don't lie on purpose or by accident. That's why scouting is really important, even if it's just your own team. And that's one of the first things you should do as a team on any scouting. You're not going to scout other teams. Definitely scout yourself. It helps give you feedback on your drivers and things, but also helps bring that into a conversation, where you can be like, well, we actually just did this last match a little bit higher than our average, so we're probably going to be a little bit less than that next match. How can we work with that and have a better outcome? It's always frustrating when teams lie. You're only doing yourself a favor if you're honest. Even if numbers are below what you wish they were, sugarcoating it doesn't really help you or help me or help whoever you're working with. So it's really important that we all are honest within it first. Ontario's pretty good at it, I will say. But yeah, it's always good to continue doing that and always be truthful and authentic about what you're actually performing.
I'll see that.
I mean, you can say it or I can say it. Doesn't matter.
So it's definitely hard to be a strategy person if you are a woman, queer, a student meeting with mentors, or any sort of different than your average robotics student. Especially at Worlds. At Worlds, it's a whole different perspective. People aren't as nice as you'd expect in Ontario. So we go into strategy meetings with our team members, and we stick together and support each other. The cohesion is important in having a smooth strategy meeting. We work together, and FRC is for everyone. So there's multiple times throughout the season that I will experience being treated worse than I would in Ontario, and then Nathan will come behind me and back me up.
Yeah.
So we rely on each other. It's always best to go into a strategy meeting with more than one person so that you can support each other and run the strategy meeting well.
Yeah, for sure. And maybe some of those things don't apply to you, but it's important that you are positive on the other end of that too, not having those barriers be like propelled by your strategy meetings. Yeah, many times Nikita goes in or a student goes in, and they're just getting like, you know,
Spoken over.
yeah, spoken over,
and
not
stuff
being
like
listened
that.
to, and I just come in and say literally the exact same thing, and it's like, oh yeah, it's a great idea. I'm like, uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, it happens a lot. I'm pretty privileged in who I am and how I present. And so it's really easy for me to play that role. But it's unfortunate that I do. So it's always important that to recognize that too. On my end, talking to other people, and how I look. I'm pretty tall. I'm a white guy. And so that can be a barrier for some people. And I don't want to perpetuate that either. Yeah, definitely a part of first, unfortunately. Yeah, so to wake us up a little bit, and also to get some practice within doing strat meetings. Strategy people, they talk a little bit, so we're gonna mingle around a little bit. But for this activity, I'm gonna deal out some cards. Raise your hands if you've done this activity with me before. I know some of you have.
Shout out Ange. Okay, cool.
I know. Okay,
That's good.
That's fine.
All new.
Yeah. New people is better. It's more fun. Okay. So how this will work is you're gonna get into groups of 3 because strat meetings have 3 teams. Hopefully. Yeah, I'm gonna give you some cards. We're gonna each gonna get 2 cards. And what's gonna happen is in most FRC games, there's kind of 2 main roles you can play in a triple offense game, like there was. Sure. I'm gonna shuffle them up a little bit.
Yeah.
Want me to do that? Or?
Yeah. Okay. Sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. You're gonna get 2 cards. One of them is if you play the most optimal line. Lots of games have like a fast lane, or you're playing the close face maybe on this year's last game. So scoring right at the front, you can score a lot. You're driving less, and then you have some team has to score all the way at the back. So normally how that works is only one team gets to have the easier line. Maybe that means you're the team not sharing the station. The other 2 teams are sharing the station. Helps slow you down a little bit. And so even good teams and bad teams have to work through that barrier. So you're gonna have one high number, one low number, and that's the number that if you were to play your most optimal fast lane one, and then your lower number, that's if you're playing the other lanes. So only one of your group of 3 can pick their higher number, and then your teammates must pick their lower number. Does that kind of make sense? Your goal is to have the highest sum, have the greatest amount of cycles. For the first exercise, you can show your teammates what your numbers are. Then for the second exercise, we're not going to show our teammates what we are, and we're just going to tell them. Does that make sense? Great. You want to
give me half a
yeah,
second.
get half. Give each person 2, and then you're just gonna find 2 other people.
Do you want to do it? You don't have to.
And you can start whenever I give you the cards. You don't need to wait for
everyone
else to get them.
Do you want to do it?
Here's your 2. Here's your 2.
I'm out of cards. I have one stack. Sorry.
Here's your 2.
We'll come back. So it's most optimal if you get in a group with people that aren't on your team. Go to different teams. There's lots of people in the room.
Any more?
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah, I'll give you those 2. I think they're all. Oh, there's face cards in here.
I can just look through them when I give them. Oh,
they're
there
pretty much
they
all
are.
together because I've done this activity before.
A million times, yeah.
There's one more I saw somewhere here.
Nope. Shuffle it a little bit.
They're shuffling.
If you get any face cards, please tell us.
Yeah. So one of them is a high number, one of them is a lower number, unless it's the same. That's just a coincidence. Sometimes they're equally as good as both options. And so in your group of 3, one person has to decide their higher number, and then 2 other people have to pick their lower number. You're trying to pick the one that has the greatest number added together. Does that make sense?
Did everyone get cards?
Everyone has cards?
Cool.
Yeah, your alliance, right? Your alliance. You're trying to figure out how to score the most amount of points as an alliance.
Good stuff. And then these.
Well, we do one more after this.
Okay.
That doesn't include these.
I'll still shuffle it.
My cards are like
Yeah, okay, we have a weird one. They figured it out. The form was good.
That's okay.
They did like 3 and then 3 and then 3.
Yeah,
and 3.
and then just shooting shit. That's fine.
No. Okay, have we all gotten our sum? We talked with our teammates, showed them our numbers maybe, and talked about what the highest sum is. Great, that's a good exercise of what strat meetings normally look like. You'd be like, I can do this, and I can do that. Sometimes it looks like this, and then they'd be like, oh, I do this, and sometimes it looks like this. That's the highest number. So we're not gonna take them. You're gonna find someone who's not in your group and swap cards. Give them both. Give them both. So find someone who's not in your group. Find someone who's not in your group. But you're not gonna don't show your alliance partners your cards.
For the next one. So on your new cards, don't expose them. They're secrets.
And then now we do this because like after
yeah.
It's just like a practice for them.
Yeah. It's a box of pencils.
Nice. You can say the number. You can say the number.
You can tell them, yeah.
You can say the number. You just can't show them the card. Next one, you will be. Next one. It's a practice to show, not showing. Okay. Doing great for time.
Yeah, we're great.
Half an hour left, and there's not that much left.
The review and fine tune, and then the stuff I added.
Yeah. Okay, did we get a sum together? We figured it out? Yeah, we're all good? All right, we're gonna do that one more time. You're gonna find someone new who's not in your group again. Swap cards with them. Don't swap cards with the same person you did the first time, because then they'll be the same cards. Don't show your teammates again. Do not show them your numbers.
They're a secret.
And once you get them, don't talk yet, because I'm gonna give you one more card.
One more card.
Everyone has new cards?
Okay, I'm gonna come around. Nathan and I are both gonna come around and give you a face card.
I'll explain what these mean in a second. So just wait till everyone gets a card, then I'll explain. Just in case, you know. Don't show anyone.
Pick whichever one you want. There you go. Here you go.
I have no idea what I gave away. I didn't look.
I'll re-explain it. Okay.
Did you guys get face cards?
No.
There you go. There you go.
I give you one.
Got a third one?
You guys got it? Cool.
One. This is a one. Okay, so we all should have 3 cards, and our teammates do not know our cards. Really important. Okay, so what's going to happen? This is going to help display a little bit about what lying could do on our sum, because we want a higher sum, but not always do we know our information. Kind of proof that's how that works. So what's going to happen is, if you have a jack, I handed you a jack. You're going to -2 cycles to play defense in the fast lane. So only -1 if you're playing with your lower number. But you're not going to tell your partners what face card you have. You're just going to say the number. Like, let's say I had an 8. Let's say I have an 8 and a 6, for example. That means I actually have a 6 and a 5. I'm just going to say 6 and a 5 to my teammate. If I have a queen, I'm really good under defense maybe, and so I get 1 more for my lower number. So if I had an 8 and a 6, now I have an 8 and a 7. I'm just going to say that 8 and a 7. And if I have a king, -1 numbers to both of them. You're climbing really early, so no matter what you do, you're going to lose a cycle on both. So if I have 8 and a 6, that means I actually have a 7 and a 5. Make sense? We're just going to say those new numbers. Yeah.
I'm kind of confused.
Yeah.
So let's say
like if I had an 8 and a 6, for example, one higher, one lower number, I would -2 from a higher number if I had a jack. So if I actually have a 6 now, and my lower number goes down -1. So that means I have a 5 now. So I would say 6 and 5. If I had a queen, I add 1 number to my lower number. So again, that 8 and a 6, I actually have an 8 and a 7. And if I have a king, -1 from both. And you're just going to say the numbers after the modifier. Don't say like I have an 8, but now it's a 6. You're just going to say the number that it works out to be. And you're not going to show your cards. You're just going to say that number, and then you're going to add that sum up. And then once you did that, then you're going to remove the modifier, and you're going to see what you could have had if these modifiers didn't exist. Does that make sense?
So we're comparing what you could have had in a clean match versus what you can have in when things change.
Got it? All right, we can do that now.
And it's also up to you guys to be truthful with what your numbers look like when you're actually in the match.
Yeah. Anyway, we can do that.
Yep.
Do I have a different one?
Same with either leg.
Yes,
I was in the same boat where I have 2 twos. So I'm here to play.
I got 2 twos now.
Jeez.
The next one is the lying one.
Oh, okay.
Next one you just like lie.
Yeah.
There's no like modification. This just like shows like matches have more context than just.
Yeah.
They're gonna trade cards again.
Yeah.
So there's
I'm just shuffling.
Okay. Now it's hot.
You had 2 the same number, right?
Yeah.
Without the modifier, it's different with my modifier. What was
Oh, we.
Yeah, we got it. I mean, then you're talking, so that's good. Yeah, that exercise shows that the games have more context than just what your numbers are. It's important, like, oh, I'm actually probably going to get defended. I'm Dave, I'm going to get some defense. And so my fast lane will slowly impact by this. It's good to know, good to know those things. Okay, we're going to do one more. So you're going to swap cards again. Again, don't show your
All
people.
three
All
stack.
3 cards.
Swap.
Last one, I promise. Yeah, as long as you have new cards, doesn't matter what you swapped with. Oh my God. All right, we all have new numbers.
Yeah.
Okay,
swap with each
so
other.
if you have a jack, you are gonna say on your low card you have 2 more than it is. If you have a queen, you're gonna say your high card is 1
Nice.
less than what it is. And if you're king, I'll tell you when you can start talking, but you're late to the meeting. So if you have a king, don't say what you're gonna do yet. Don't show your cards. You can't talk. And I'll count down 10 seconds for the meeting. Okay. All right. 2 of you start talking. One of them wait anticipating. Oh no, my match was late. No.
Let's talk in cute.
Yeah, talking Q. This is Q. Go on the field. I don't know what I'm doing. Oh God. Okay, if you have a king, you can talk with your team. Keep it quick. Some alliances might have 2 kings. That would be funny.
This is one guy.
Yeah, one guy, but
I guess I'll do this match.
Yeah. I like playing a high number. Yeah? Question?
Thank you.
Oh, okay.
I didn't come up with it. Nathan did.
Yep.
Shout out everybody watching the video.
Yeah. Yes. Yep. You have a 4 and a 4.
Hi, Mom.
It doesn't matter what you do. Both of them are the same.
My mom said Jesus button. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, okay. So we can with our teammate. Now we can, if you had a king or queen, or sorry, a jack and a queen. Sorry. We can remove that modifier and see what you would have scored. And if one of you would have if you would have changed who played the fast lane and who played the slow lane. I hope that some of you would. It should. But yeah, would any of you needed to switch to have a higher sum? Like, did anyone play the fast lane even though they probably should have played the slow lane? You can like do that now and check to see with your real numbers. You can use the real numbers.
I did that.
Yeah, you can just the real numbers, whatever the real numbers are. Jesus, man, yeah. It's real. Okay. Did any of you make the wrong choice in what team played what? You can raise your hand if you did. It doesn't matter if you didn't. I was just curious. Is there one hand here?
Needed more kings.
No,
It's okay.
no. Okay. Yeah. Sometimes
I'll
if
take
you,
your
if you
cards.
lie, it's hard to say. But if my
okay,
low number
I'll
was
just take
actually
one.
raised, maybe I would have played the low one when I
Thank
should have
you.
played the high one.
Thank you.
That could happen in a match. And
Thank
it's really
you.
important to meet with
Thank
your
you.
strat team
Thank you.
on time. Sometimes a 10-second strat meeting is very hard. Yeah. So lying or not understanding what your numbers are sometimes makes you make the wrong choice in your team. But also it means that your numbers for what you think the match was supposed to be is different than what actually is going to happen. And maybe that means you lose a match because of it, or someone plays defense because you think you're going to win with only 2 robots, and that defense matters. Or maybe you were going to lose that no matter what you're going to do, and so you should have went for RP. These are all things that are influenced by not authentically knowing what your lines on average is doing. Yeah. And
Cool.
I'm not going over. I'm going over here.
Okay, review and fine tune.
I can
So
take any cards that I'm missing.
sorry.
The middle group.
One of the greatest things you can do is improve your scouting and strategy throughout the season. So reviewing and fine tuning your strategy and scouting. There's always space to grow. There's always something you can improve on. At the end of each match, we review it with the coach. We record the match on an iPhone and then airdrop it, or we just pass the phone over. It's a donated phone. So we rewatch the match, and the coach can see directly where our critiques are coming from. This allows you to improve match over match and helps the coach do their job better. And it also allows the strategy team to make better plans that are more comfortable for the drive team. So if there's a match where we tell the drive team, okay, you're going to score on the back face, but then we notice during the match there's lots of struggling happening on the back face, and at the end of the match the coach says, no, we can't do the back face. Then that allows us to make better strategy plans for future matches. The strategy team should review our numbers throughout the day, getting an idea of how we're performing, whether the changes that we're making to the strategy are actually effective. And if they're not, it's time to change something else. The only way to progressively get better is having insight into how you're performing and then taking steps from there. Sorry.
No, it's okay. Yeah, this also isn't limited to just in competition. Review your scouting systems. How accurate were your numbers? It's good to have some checking your numbers maybe after the event. Scout all of maybe a couple teams. Be like on average, how off were our on averages for someone throughout the event for a couple teams. I did this in 2024. We were pretty far off, especially at some events. We were like 2 or 3 notes off on average, which is a lot, especially on average. But then this year we were within a quarter of a coral. Comes from that decreased complexity within the app. Yeah, it's important to figure out what are we doing good, how can we make things better. It's important to review how generally effective your scouting ours. If you're the vibe of the data is saying that OP is bad. If your data is saying OP is bad, you're probably tracking the wrong thing. Trust your vibes a little bit. They give more context to the numbers. But if you're saying like, hey, these numbers are saying that this is the best team at the event, you're like, I don't know if that's true. Maybe Dave is the best team, but I don't know. It's probably that these numbers are tracking the wrong thing, and you should check to see are these numbers actually tracking quality performance, or they just maybe you're tracking the wrong thing. Happens all the time in data. If you're saying that OP isn't performing well, probably recording data wrong or tracking the wrong thing. There's always room to get better. Constant improvement is key in your scouting system. Don't feel like it's a reflection on you. But always improvement is always the goal, not just for the driver, but also for your collection systems, your pit team, all that kind of things.
And I will admit, one thing that the students struggled with in the scouting app, if you can believe it, is going from auto to teleop, switching pages. So we do have a timer at the top that goes into negatives when auto's done. But something that the students requested is that it starts flashing so that they're like, oh, yes, I should hit teleop.
Yeah, don't forget. That's all thing that they said. And so next year we'll look at implementing some system that reminds them that auto is over, so that mistake happens less. It's happened like once or twice at every event, which is just more work for us to have to remove ourselves from Strat and manage that data with some kids. A little bit more work when want to make sure there's no mistakes.
Okay, everything being said, there are some other things that also matter. Number one, managing expectations. We celebrate wins and we learn from losses. On Dave, it's a huge thing that we don't go to events trying to win. We want to perform our best, have fun, and help other teams. So even the students in our stands understand that as long as we are doing as much as we can and we are trying to perform our best and everybody is on the mark, then we are successful. Having this understanding is huge in supporting team culture and being able to get back up after a tough loss. So who saw provincials finals? Yeah, that was crazy.
Unfortunately.
We going into that match, we knew. And all of the students also knew. So as long as we were able to go in, show off, show out, perform at the best that we could, nothing else mattered. None of the students were upset about losing provincials.
Not a single kid was like, "No, man." They were like, "Yep." Got it.
Even our driver.
Even
our driver was like, "Did you see how many cycles we did?"
Yeah.
It was great.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I was watching the other side.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I don't even know what we did. Yeah.
Okay, the vibe of your drive team is also very important. So it actually surprised me a lot how important this is. This year, our drive team were all close friends, and it made them want to practice more. And they were accountable for each other. They wanted to get better each time so they could uplift each other. And this allowed them to support each other in the tough times and in the good times. The vibes were great regardless. This cohesion also reflected on the rest of the students of the team because they could be confident in their drive team when they saw them having a great time on the field with each other. The better the vibe, the more dedicated everybody is, and the better your data is, and the better the match goes. So if your drive team doesn't mesh well together, maybe look into some bonding activities or something like that to make everything more cohesive. Next slide. Yep, there's one more slide.
Oh, there's one more slide for that.
Yeah, I added it. It was too long.
Where's my mouse?
Practice. So consistency in practice is super important. One of the key things that allowed us to look coordinated in writing this year was practice. So we share a practice field with WW First, which is the organization in Waterloo, Wellington that connects all of the teams in the area. We spent many hours there, as many days as we possibly could. More specifically, our repeated practice with modifiers and changes really made the difference. So we would run the same match multiple times, but throw in little tidbits. So we would toss coral in front of the robot. We would toss algae in front of the robot. So the driver had to avoid getting beached. We would put coral in front of the April tag so that the driver had to get comfortable with clearing the coral first so that the limelight could see the April tags.
And we didn't tell them every time what that exercise might be. This way, if our driver's like, why isn't it automatically lining up? They can be like, oh, it's probably because there's something in the way. And they gain that practice not only in that effort to actually clear the thing, but also identify, oh, this is a weird thing that my robot is doing. It's probably because of this thing, and I have practice in that. So on the field, they're not like, I don't know what to do. But they know what to do, but they also know how to do it pretty well. So they practice all those levels of things. But randomly just me going boom with the algae, and they're like, oh.
But a key part of this is that his practice was consistent and was the same paths, the same scoring order, everything like that every time. So that when we come to the match, he can just play his game. He's playing the same game that he's played the last month.
It's easier at the event than when I'm just bullying him with an algae in the way or throwing coral right before they get there. This way, it's a cakewalk for our driver based off what the conditions that they've practiced in. So yeah, escalating that level of defense depending on how new that is to them.
We're lucky we have an extra swerve base. It doesn't have to be swerve to play defense. But we loaded that up and got defending. But also we're defending following the rules. So we have someone coaching a student driving the defense robot. But yeah, we even ran our simulation around other teams on the field. So if we're running a match sim with like Cavs and Rockway, we're still doing the same cycles. Before the match, we talk about it, and we're still playing the same game. So in matches, we're able to set up the driver for the same scenario, or the same scenario with modifiers, so that when he gets to the field, he's not scared.
Yeah, my thing.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah, it's the majority of things. I guess I could put text there. Yeah, last thing I want to talk a little bit is about Statbotics, because it already came up in a talk today as a website, and I've done a lot of research time and time again on Statbotics because I'm a little bit of a numbers nerd, especially in FRC. And this new crazy website comes out past few years, and literally everyone is looking at this website. And so I want to learn a little bit about why it works, why it's important to tell you about why it works. Because it kind of frustrated me so many times when people were like, well, my EPA says this. I'm like, that's not what that means. And so if you don't understand how Statbotics work, I highly encourage that you check out their blog, and especially their Chief Delphi post it gets updated every year. There's a new thread every year about the Statbotics post. And the guy who made Statbotics is a very, very smart man. And yeah, everything that they post in there is great stuff, and he updates it regularly throughout the season. It's not just one thing at the start of the season. So keeping up to date with how the thing evolves is also really, really important. So yeah, I can pull up the Statbotics website if you don't know what it is.
Statbotics.io.
Yeah.
I love Statbotics, but it loves me.
It's true.
I hate Statbotics most of the time, though.
Yeah, so I wanted to just give a little bit more context. This is all on the Statbotics website, the Statbotics blog. I encourage you to give it a little read. The math is not that hard to understand. You don't have to do the math. Obviously, it does it for you. Just kind of understanding what the numbers mean. This way, when you go to the event and you're like, oh, I'm using this EPA number, you understand why it's a flawed number and why it's a good number for some things. EPA is not a substitution for scouting. You may have heard that before, but really, why isn't it a good substitution for scouting? Because there's no actual data collection from individual team's performance. It's just someone's best guess. But it uses a bunch of math. There's been lots of ways previously. I know Karthik invented using OPR, which is just use a linear matrix to figure out the solution to 3 exponents with a bunch of different answers. That's the points at the end of each match. Pretty good with lots of data, but events sometimes only have up to 12 qualification matches, not really in-depth numbers. And so when EPA came out, it's a much more accurate number to help with match predictions. It's really good at match predictions. It's like 80. Depends on the game and the event, ranging anywhere between like 65 and 95% accurate. But that 65 number is really low, especially early in the season. So yeah, don't go in with especially that number for the driver. Might add extra stress because it says it's going to be a close match when really it isn't. Might not know about you yet. So yeah, I'll give a little bit of background about why it works, and then a little bit of support from the actual website itself, so I'm not that wrong on it. I can scroll up to here. Kind of just how EPA works is it's entirely an ELO-based system. So I'm not sure if any of you guys know about chess ELO a little bit, but how it works is it predicts what your score is going to be at the start of the match. So it sums up the EPA of each 3 teams. It goes, probably going to score this. How the only data that Statbotics can pull from the FMS, and that's the field management system that Blue Alliance works off of, all the like rankings work off of, is points from the match. And then component scored in that match. So it knows how many coral were scored in the entire match, how many coral was scored in auto, what robot climbed. It knows climb information, and it knows the algae information at the end of each match. That's when the scorekeeper actually scores it, and so that gets put up. But it doesn't know what team scored it because the scorekeepers don't count what robot scores what. That's why you scout. So it knows that at the end of each match, this is how much things were scored, and so it's going to make a guess based off how many of those you scored by predicting how many coral in L1 you're going to score, how many coral in L2 you're going to score, how many coral in L3 you're going to score, how many coral in L4 you're going to score. And you're going to sum that up for all the 3 robots on the alliance, and it goes, wow, this alliance is going to score 12 L4s because on average they've been scoring 4 each. And so it goes, okay, we're going to score 12. If you don't score 12, you score less than 12, it goes, that was an overestimation. I'm sorry. I'm going to decrease your L4 component. It does that for all the components, and then it multiplies that by how many points they're worth. So it's a component-based thing. So you could, in theory, not beat your predicted score, but still go up in EPA. Hard to do that, but it's possible, especially in a game with varying points like this. And kind of how the EPA predicts the score margin is all ELO-based. So that's like the ununit, no unit, what is it called?
No
the no unit
unit.
Based ELO, which is just EPA. There's just a conversion. So the best team in the world at the end of the season normally has about 2,000. If you have 2,000 EPA, then you are proofs in 2018. Yeah, pretty much the only way to do that. Yeah, so kind of how it works is as the season goes on, there's more events going on. This K modifier value, you can see in this formula here, is kind of how it's your change in EPA goes up or down. And so it goes, well, I know what the red scored, I know what the blue scored, and so I can figure out what that difference is, minus what you're supposed to score and what I think you're going to score. And so it has that difference of what you beat your prediction score by, and it's going to multiply that by K. K is just a modifier that it comes up with at the start of the season, and that changes based off how many matches you've played. That's why your EPA doesn't increase or decrease as fast later in the season, because it dynamically changes. Previous versions of Cybotics, it only ever had 72 over 200. That was the same modifier for the entire season. But to increase accuracy, he made it so that earlier in the season, it increases faster. This way, teams can get closer to their accurate earlier in the season. You might overshoot, might undershoot. That's why early in the events, it's a really bad metric because it doesn't know much about you. It's really trying to guess. And so it has a really high K value. And then now that it's closer to the end, it kind of helps slow it down. That's why your figures graph looks like it slows down near the end. Yeah, ELO-based things are really good when you have more and more matches, obviously. So if a team has more events than you do or more matches played than you do, their EPA is going to be a bit more accurate. But also, it's easier to increase your EPA or decrease your EPA if you have more opportunities to improve it. So if you're playing against someone who has less matches, like maybe a team who didn't go to Worlds versus did go to Worlds, it's hard to compare those two numbers because one team had more opportunity to increase or decrease their EPA. That's why it's not a perfect measure, because you have to be able to have the exact same amount of matches, even playing against different teams. Maybe some team plays defense. Man, EPA hates defense because it doesn't really account for any defense. So it's like, wow, you really underperformed this match, but really it's just someone played defense on you. So it's not a perfect metric because it doesn't actually know what you did. It just makes a guess based off other metrics that it can track. So like endgame EPA, pretty good. It's pretty good because it actually knows what teams climbed, but also that's why you can maybe see an EPA being over 12. Some people are like, why is someone's EPA 12.1? You can't score more than 12 points in endgame. And that's because that means 0.1% of the time or 0.1 points of the time at this event, someone else has climbed more with you than they climbed without you. Not really overly a reflection of your performance. Sometimes it is. Maybe sometimes I make my teammates more likely to climb. That's maybe you can draw that conclusion with a higher number like that. Or an auto, for example, if one team has a really limiting auto only on the side, but I have a center auto maybe, then if I ran that center auto, then that team only ever scored 1 point or 1 coral in auto when they're with me. And it's probably because of my removing of myself to have them have that space to the ability to score that point. So it's not only points that you scored, but other points you allowed your teammates to score, which that's an advantage of EPA. It kind of senses that too, versus scouting information doesn't purely see that. Yeah, and so you can see later in the thing, that's how it scores. You actually get your EPA, you get your auto EPA, because it knows auto score independently. Get your endgame EPA because it knows the endgame independently, and then it subtracts that from the overall score to figure out what your teleop EPA is. That's why there's 3 numbers, and they're really good to help EPA know, a little bit more of the components. And those components can give you more information. But yeah, EPA is not a perfect measure. It's a best guess based off, someone who's taking a shot in the dark with a lot of walls to ricochet a bullet, maybe. But they don't perfectly know where you are. And so they're trying to make a guess based off lots of different information, but they don't know perfectly. So when people are like, well, this is what their EPA is, this is the true number, don't use that number. If someone has less matches, it's hard to use that number. It's really good on international events. Like if you're not going Like if we're going to Worlds and I don't know anyone else on my field, it's good to give a ballpark. But it's really bad, especially within a very close margin. So if my EPA is 1 EPA higher than someone, it does not mean I'm 1 point better than them. But if my EPA is like 10 points better than someone, it's more likely that my team scores more points than someone else's team. With higher variance, it's way more accurate, being like, yeah, this team is much better. But within tight margins, it matters on the schedule, your teammates, who you're played against. All those things are really, really hard for it to get really, really fine details for. That's why it's really good for general rankings of teams. But it's really important going into especially a pick list meeting, that you actually know what someone can score, because the difference between 1 or 2 coral, it will never know. It's hard to really know that accurately. That's why EPA, take it with a grain of salt. It's a good tool to use, but it should not ever be a sole measure of something, unless you don't have any scouts, which I encourage you to get some. Yeah, so it's really good, but that top 1%, especially, it's hard to say who the top 10 is based solely off EPA, unless they're very big jumps, which some people in the top 10 do have the big jump, and it's very obvious that they're a higher team. I can even tell you that. Yeah, that's why EPA is not a perfect measure, especially in the fine tuning of things. So someone is only, within like 0.1 EPA of someone, it's hard to say which team is better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any questions about anything I've said ever, or the entire presentation? Yeah.
Quick question.
Yeah.
Why'd you guys team called Team Dave? Is there like
St. David's school.
We go to St. David's. Our high school is St. David's High School.
Yeah.
And so we said, haha, Dave is funny.
Yeah, isn't that funny?
That's why we're Dave.
It's what,
OP is OP.
15, 16 years ago?
Yeah.
We didn't pick it.
Yeah. I think it was a placeholder name at the start, and they just kept it.
Yeah,
So
they're like,
the first time
whatever.
was like, yeah, Dave, it's St. David's, and then Team Dave.
Yeah.
That's why we're Dave.
Yeah.
Well, Celtics is, Celtics, pretty similar. Same thing. Mostly OP, Orchard Park. This is Orchard Park.
They're actually just overpowered.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
Double meaning on that one.
Okay.
Any question here? Yeah.
So how do you guys check if the data is accurate from the scouters?
Yeah, so often after the event is over, I will personally scout all of our matches at least to see just how accurately we did. That helps me give me like my own EPA, for example. I can actually tell you how many points I scored at the event on average, and like an APA, actual points attributed. Yeah, so I would scout all of our matches, or maybe some other teams' matches, like me personally, and I would maybe double check my matches too. Because I can trust my own numbers, and I can like really go back and make sure I count each match. And so if I'm like, oh, I don't actually know, I can rewind, because students can't rewind in real life, but I can do that on the video. And so I would watch all the matches of a couple teams and then check their averages. Like, oh, okay, on Dave they were on average 0.25 off. On someone else they were 0.5 off. Like, oh, you watch Dave a bit more accurately because it's their own team. That makes sense. I can see these other teams a little bit off, but 0.5 of a coral, not that big of a deal. But once it gets into that 1, 2 range, that's pretty big, and you can probably look at why that data is that wrong.
So we'll run these sanity checks during the competition as well. I mean, when OP's on the field, I'm counting how many cycles OP is doing.
Yeah.
So then I go into the app and I see, okay, you're off by 1 or a half or something like that. And then that gives us the idea moving forward in our strategy meetings that our data is plus or minus 0.5. So that we don't have to go back and actually watch all the matches. Who has time for that?
Don't do that.
Yeah.
The other tools, yeah, like maybe Sabonics is saying like, oh, this team is twice as good as you think it is. Like, okay, that's a pretty big change. It can do component. It can tell you how many cycles on average it thinks you're going to do. Or like, yeah, you can do an OPR on Blue Alliance. You can say on your component OPR for cycles. You can check to see that they're kind of similar. They're very different. Then yeah, again, maybe one of them is very wrong. But that fine detail, you kind of have to watch all the matches and count them yourself. Normally do that after the event. We normally watch all of our matches again and count our own matches like during the strat meetings and kind of throughout the day. And so we can check with our own team at least and see, okay, we're pretty close on one of the teams. That's probably true for the other teams. By the end of the competition, then we can go back and check before our next event to see how things are working. That's when we start making the changes if they're not. Before the event starts. Don't do it during the event. That's bad.
Also, when our visualization has bar graphs, so you're kind of easily able to see outliers. And it's mostly just like a sanity check that we do for ourselves in match strategy.
Yeah. But you look at the data. If someone's like, wow, they scored 500 points in auto, probably because someone didn't switch it.
to tell you.
Those things are pretty outliers, like you can see pretty evidently. But yeah, some of the things you just kind of have to wait and check till after. But yeah, normally do it after. Any other questions? Yeah.
I think I heard you mention you used Tableau. At some point, I remember in
Yeah.
grade 11, kind of looking at that for 15 seconds,
Yeah.
getting terrified and never looking at it again. So just like,
Yeah.
how is it?
It's okay. I worked.
There's a barrier to entry.
I used
within
to be a
using any
data
application.
engineer, so I learned Tableau for work. So I was using Tableau a lot.
Yeah.
I think 3 to 4 hours spending in Tableau, you'll figure it out. What you have to do though is you have to use Tableau Public. So you have to go in and get the Tableau Public download. It's different than Tableau Desktop. And that doesn't allow you to save any local files. It has to be uploaded to their website.
So technically, anyone could have saw any of our scouting data from the entire season or the past 3 seasons, but no one did.
Don't look for it. Don't look for it.
Yeah. Yeah, we take it down after the event. Yeah, we're moving to sheets. Tableau was just kind of annoying to use, especially on mobile. Definitely a barrier to entry. Nikhita had some previous work experience in that data visualization program, so we used it. So whatever maybe your kids know how to use, I don't know, numbers or something on Apple or something. I don't know. Or something else. When we moved to Sheets, we tried it out for Mary Ward off season. It was pretty good. It was pretty limited data, but we also don't have that much data to increase with our scouting app anyway. So we said, we like this. It's easier to pull up on my phone. It's more, easier to access and to set up. So we'll just do that instead. The kids can have more involvement in an application that they've used before, all that kind of thing.
And there was more than one time where they went on maintenance during the comp.
That's true. Tableau sometimes was just like, this weekend we're going to be doing maintenance. We're just like, wow.
We had no data.
DCFB.
We had no data. Yeah. Google Sheets never goes on maintenance.
Never goes down. I mean, it'd be bad if it did.
Well, we'll find out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Any other questions?
I don't personally recommend Tableau. Personally, I didn't like it.
I used
never
to,
figured
and I
out how
don't
to use it.
anymore.
Yeah, I never figured out how to use it. Yeah.
In your app, do you guys rely on a button for autonomous to switch from autonomous to
Yes, we talked about the kids are like, can you just do it automatically? We're just like, well, sometimes it takes a while to input all the information, and so if you automatically switch, then it's hard to be like, I have to go back now and go into it again, then go back into it. Now that timestamp could be wrong.
OP has already scored 3 cycles.
Yeah, teams are fast for scoring, right? So we wanted to make it so the kid, when they were switching screens, they were ready to actually switch screens. Comes with the side effect of them having to remember to do it. But it's pretty obvious when someone doesn't do that. So we didn't feel that was a big risk for us. And yeah, for the accuracy of the ones that are harder to catch, like that 1 or 2 cycles missed into tally up or into auto. But the kids just kept forgetting that was a side effect. So we're gonna find other solutions than automatically switching it. We found that we don't want to trust that system for a kid to be able to be like, you only do it when they're ready. We tried to make sure they remember, like it was the only really thing that they had to remember while scouting was to press that button. But having enough that we're just like, yep, we'll probably give them another warning on the thing, flashing or like an outline, vibrations, something like that. They'd be like, oh, okay, gotta switch it. Yeah, that's why we didn't automatically switch it.
That's our programmer. Hope you're writing that down. We need that change. Thanks.
Always have like a voice line. Don't forget to subscribe.
Yeah, that works.
Exactly.
That works.
Exactly. Yeah. Some other student or mentor would be like, well, switch. That would be good. Any other questions? Nice. Well, it's 3:02. We hit perfectly on time.
Let's go.
So yeah, thank you.
Thank you.